What's up, everybody? How you doing? Lord PeteyTV here. I'm going to give you what you need to know for the Nexus-Princess on in the raid. So in the War Within and what's it called, the Bar Palace or whatever you want to call it. So anyway, it's been out for a while, but I wanted to make sure I told you about it because we finally took it down in our community raid. And this is what we ended up doing. So what we ended up doing is we ended up going in there and fighting the boss, and we ended up placing the rifts on each of the corners, as you can see. Most of the raid is in the center. The balls are trying to not be aimed in that center quadrant, and then from there we are pretty much taking the dashes and putting them clockwise around the circle. Some people were able to do it pretty well, some people were not, but all in all, we were able to do okay. So there we go from there, and then we're going into the dagger phase, which is all of the arrows, and then then we got more with the balls. As you can tell, I got hit by a couple, and we're just gonna go for it right now, and we're gonna put as much damage as we can on the boss. We have the suction that's going in, so we got to make sure we're pushing ourselves out of that, and then from there we have the dashes again. And then we have the balls. You got to be careful of those. As you can see, some of the melee are going in there when they shouldn't be, but they learn to back away. They really have to take a moment to figure out where things are going a little bit better. We had a death there from our warlock. We brought them up, and then we're going to go back into rotation. We had a heavy pull from one location, so we tried to make sure we watch that. And then we ended up going into DPSing into phase 2. As you can see in phase 2, what I end up doing is something very similar to, I kind of get some distance and I find a line. And that line is my line. I walk back and forth between it the whole entire time, trying to make sure I don't get hit and die from it. As you can tell, I try to do that and not get slashed also. There is a couple of times where I end up screwing up royally, and I do end up getting hit by a couple of the corner beams or whatever, if you want to call it. But, it happens. So anyway. So the main thing that I want to talk about here is the reason why we put the rifts on the outside. The reason why we want to put the rifts on the outside and rotate them is so that we have a easy placement for where they're all going to go. In addition to that, it's easier just to have the pull from the gravitational force from it. Queen's Bane, once it's placed on you, it's going to cause those, the orbs. So you got to be really, really careful of those. And that was me being stupid because I got way too close to the rift and I got pulled into it. And then I took a second and I just rezzed and I popped up and went back into it. Because I knew that what was going to happen and they were going to need me because of my damage. So we ended up going back into it and going back into the fight. Now, the tanks, we got to really keep an eye out for because you don't want to get them too low. Because they do have that 10% execute from if you have very little HP. One of the biggest issues from what we had here was the fact that we had people that weren't placing the dashes in the right spot. In addition to that, the orbs. That's pretty much what hurt us more than anything. We ended up running 3 healers on this fight, which is a little bit heavier than what you should be, and 2 of them are highly overgeared. So they were really pumping for most of this. Now, as you can see, a lot of the force is coming from the one side because they were, on the wrong side essentially when they put the dashes. So we end up pushing through. We get into our next phase 2, and we're just going for it. Now, overall, the fight is very much a coordination fight, and it has a degree of damage that is required from the raid. We had a couple of people that were underperforming during this, and we barely, I feel, were able to push the damage more so than the other times. But I do feel that the people that were there and the ones that were able to produce they really did, take it up another notch to be able to kind of do their thing. I'm very proud of Road and Twist and the damage that they were able to produce. They are doing a fantastic job getting their gear and stuff like that. Addie has come a long way in her healing. She's done really, really well. So I want to make sure I give us some props out for that. And Dak and Sky are doing a great job for being the first time that they are tanking together in a in a raid. So overall, works out pretty dang well. Now, we ended up getting the boss down just purely because we were able to just focus it out. And I don't know if it was because it just happened to be what people got certain things or what was going on, but I will say that we definitely, I feel like we did a lot more damage this time than we did before, and I don't know how or why. Um, but we did really have people that were putting a lot more damage out for a lot longer, because right now we have about 30 seconds until the last stage happens, and the boss was pretty much almost dead. So it was a lot more interesting than I thought. And I just want to specify right now, we have 2 healers right now that are doing over a mil HPS, and one that's doing 700k. And then we have I think about 3 or 4 people that are doing over 800k DPS, and we were able to down them. So it was pretty good. I'm very proud, like I said. So keep an eye on the channel to see new things that are coming out. You know, I greatly appreciate you all. Dream big, keep gaming. Have a fantastic rest of your week. Keep an eye out for the rest of our videos. Make sure you hit that sub button because, you know, we love seeing those new people in the channel. Thank you. Bye, everybody.